When we were young, 2024, all album plays, 57 records in the Emo Social Club. We're almost through all of them. We're reviewing them. We're giving you our thoughts. We're telling you what you should see. We are the experts. You came here for that reason. On this episode, we are talking about Saves the Day, Stay What You Are. And Lizzie, before we tell the people our thoughts and our opinions on it, tell us more about Saves the Day and Stay What You Are.
This was their third album that came out on July 10th, 2001 on Vagrant Records. This was a much more chilled approach. According to Chris Connolly, who's their vocalist, the band just basically didn't want to play really fast music anymore. It wasn't their vibe during the time. They said, we're grown up, we're developing our sound, we're moving on, hope you enjoy. See You was released on poppunk.com.
A lot of y'all are members of poppunk.com out there.
I would say maybe reconsider your membership or update it.
Is my membership to poppunk.com lapsed?
Ooh,
I need to re-up my membership.
Spend some time, guys. Originally, they were supposed to go on Warped Tour, but ditched it to headline the Vagrant Records tour. And then At Your Funeral, the first track, their big single, was re-released in September as a radio single. This album debuted at number 100 on the Billboard 200s. Paste included the video for At Your Funeral at number 7 out of 10 for best emo music videos.
Well, before we tell you our opinions and our thoughts on this record, make sure you are subscribed. We are almost done. You want to know when they drop. You want to know when they come out. You want to know when that playlist is updated. You're waiting every week. You're waiting by the phone. You got to know. You got to subscribe. And if the festival's over by now, you can just watch them because we're getting close. So you might as well just watch this after the festival. Now you've seen all the records. Now you know. You got different opinions now.
You might have seen one live and you said, uh-oh. Maybe I should have listened and saved myself
Maybe I should have listened. Here are my thoughts on Saves the Day, Stay What You Are. I'm torn on this record.
Oh.
I'm very middle of the ground on this record. This sounds like it was meant to be a mainstream album. Like, I know it was released on Vagrant, so it obviously was not on a major label. Mm-hmm. This sounds like they were, hello, major labels. Our name is Saves the Day. Would you be interested in our next record? I also feel like that's what Through Being Cool should have been for them. Like, this maybe should have been like a major label debut. I saw At Your Funeral and I saw Freakish on VH1, MTV, along with all the other bands that I was listening to and a lot of the other music. I was like, this At Your Funeral song might be one of the best ones. I like this song a lot. I think the structure of it, I think the fact that it is basically just all chorus. Mm-hmm. Like, screw a verse, dude. What if it's all chorus? Brilliant. Bar none, brilliant. Yeah. Like, great job. There was just something about, like, the rest of the record listening to this now where I'm like, wait, you were the MTV band. You wrote At Your Funeral. Where is all that on this? There's a lot here that just sounds like Chris Connolly just singing the same note over and over and over again for the entire record. It sounds like there is very little melody to it. It sounds like this is written as poetry and he's just singing the poetry is what it really sounds like. Like, I wrote lyrics, but they're really just like written down and put out like a lot of like the lyrics down on a piece of paper and then try to fit them into the music after the fact. And that's why I think there's not a lot of melody to it, because I feel like if he written it the other way and wrote the melody and tried to fit the words into it that way, it might have come out a little better. I really liked Through Being Cool. I just felt like this was like, you know, if they decided to go more mellow and less playing fast punk rock, pop punk music, they did it the opposite direction. They should have done more of that. They should have done the more of that. They should have stayed what they are.
Oh my God.
I was not building up to that. I
was about to say, how long were you sitting on that? I feel like you're lying to me.
1 second and I'm ready.
Lying.
I am an improv god. Yeah, I wasn't feeling this record so much. I definitely enjoyed a couple of the tracks on it. It was mainly At Your Funeral, which starts the record. So you're kind of like, well, that's out the way.
Yeah.
Like, now we got the rest of it. I don't think really anything stuck out to me so much as like, I love this. This is good. I kind of just was like, yep, this was that band that did Through Being Cool. And I really wish I was listening to Through Being Cool right now. I'm middle of the ground. I could listen to it and not be so angry, but I also will probably not be, you know, seeking this record out again. If I'm thinking Saves the Day, I'm just going to listen to Through Being Cool.
Okay.
It's significantly better.
This was an album that yet again fell into that early 2000s energy of coming of age cinema movie soundtrack.
that a positive thing or a negative thing?
That's a positive thing. Here's the thing. We start off really strong with At Your Funeral.
Really strong.
I think we're setting the tone here. Okay, I'm going in blind. Then we get into the next song, See You. And I'm like, oh, we're like ready to go. We get to the third song and it's hard stop, do not pass go, evaluate where you are, change direction, the road is closed.
Is that Cars and Calories?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That was one of the ones where I'm like, huh.
I understand there's a lot of different takes, especially during that time when there was a lot of different topics that were bigger in media that people wanted to talk about. This is not a band I would expect that from with what we're starting out as. But here's the thing. If you reframe it as a coming-of-age film and you have a character that is dealing with these terrible things, then it makes a little bit more sense.
So you wish this was a concept record?
I think if this was a concept record.
The concept is Chris is depressed. That's the concept.
We're all depressed. If A24 came on in here, similar to Jimmy Eat World's Bleed American, and made this a movie out based around these songs, I think it could land. But as it is now, without having this other fantastical way of reframing it all, this was a record that I feel was set up to be something different.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I anticipated. Throughout, you have those main points where you bring it back to that sound of At Your Funeral. It's not something I would probably seek out again unless there was more to be recommended from the band to listen to and I want to go into a deep dive of it. Or if I'm really having a moment where I want to feel nostalgic and for some reason I don't want to listen to Jimmy Eat World or The Starting Line.
That's never going to come up. Frankly, that's never going to happen.
As you look at me, you're like, she's fucking
lying.
Like,
and even for me personally too, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Again, Through Being Cool is a significantly better record than this. This being like the first time I was going into this record, I was like, you know what? I haven't listened to that record since probably the early 2000s, like when I saw it, and it's like, let me check out this record. And I was like, fuck, dude. It turns out I just like Through Being Cool. Turns out I don't care about anything else Saves the Day has ever done. I just like Through Being Cool. And you know what? Good job making Through Being Cool and being on Vagrant and being like at the early days of it. It's weird that they said our third record,
Yeah.
we don't want to do the same stuff anymore. Why? It's just starting to get popular.
Yeah.
It's just taking off. You're like at the start. You're like on the roller coaster and it starts going up the hill and you go, I don't know about all this, man. It seems really pretentious. Go up to the top. Go on the ride.
They were literally in the roller coaster creator PC game. And they said, I see you little guys going up here. I'm actually going to flatten it.
Yeah.
So you just go, weep.
Yeah. You're like,
that's it. And then you just coast. Then you get one little bump. Yeah. And then go, oh, we're done. Oh, it's over? Get off the ride.
That'll be $2.
But Brian, was there any other song other than At Your Funeral that stood out to you by chance?
I mean, not really. I still think Freakish is a very interesting song. Mm-hmm. And I had heard it back in the day and it always stuck out to me as like, that beginning of that song is really not good, right? Like the vocals that started off were really not good. But I think as a package of a song, it really does work for me. As a single, they had a music video of it. There was a whole thing. I was like, I remember this song. I remember hearing it on like late night VH1. And I was like, this song is good, but it starts off like so skippable, right?
Yeah.
Like you start that song, you go, and if you wait, it does go somewhere that is really enjoyable. So I'm going to put that as a song that I like.
Okay.
There were not a lot of songs that stuck out to me on this.
Okay.
It's pretty much At Your Funeral. I think this album is, and I mentioned that it was like mainstream, right? Like it felt like this was supposed to be their major label debut. In that way, it felt like there were a couple songs that were really good for radio. It felt like there were a couple songs that were really good for music videos. Yeah. It felt like that was it. And the rest of it was kind of like, whatever you make is fine. No one's buying the record for those songs. They're buying the record for At Your Funeral. Because that song is very good.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. So they didn't need to necessarily make like really good songs. But there's just not a lot here that really stood out and sounded super different that I was like, oh, wow, that song is really good. The melodies are all the fucking same. All the same across the board. So, no.
I agree with you on Freakish. This was one I had to revisit a couple of times because I felt I got partway through and it got me. And then I kept trying to re-listen saying, why don't I like this beginning?
I like this?
What is taking me so long to really immerse myself in here? And what you explained really makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I did enjoy See You. It has this Taking Back Sunday bouncy vibe.
Yes.
And Firefly, because you pick it back up. You get that energy. This is where I'm talking about. You have bookends. If you reframe it again into the cinematic field, you have you're getting ready to embark on your adventure. You're ending to go on to your next adventure, gearing up to do whatever it is. Maybe it's some revolutionary moment in your brain, figuring it out, and you're moving on. I think besides that, everything else that is in here, it's beginning, middle, end, and everything else in between is just filler.
I absolutely agree. Do you have any spicy takes beyond just not liking it?
I didn't really like Nightingale too much. I think that was the only one that I was just kind of like, meh. I get why people would like it. Wasn't my fave. What you say about this supposedly supposed to be a mainstream record, if they even cater this more onto the poppy side, it could have been really big with the mom rock crowd.
Yeah. I really think it's because the verses don't... What should happen in this record a lot more is that the verses should move you between the choruses, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens is that the choruses are really good a lot of the time, and the verses suck so hard. And so you're like, I don't care. I don't want to move to the next chorus. I just want the song to be done a lot of the time because it just feels like filler, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, clearly they can write a chorus. They wrote At Your Funeral. They're not bad at writing songs. So like, why is it that every time I go into a new song and I'm like hearing the verse, I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care. Get back to the chorus. That's why At Your Funeral is so good. It's all chorus. It's just all chorus.
Yeah.
Banger chorus. Let's give you just that. Thank you. I think there's just too much filler. I think there's just too much. Didn't spend enough time writing the melodies to it to make it interesting to listen to. I think that there's just too much of a desire to be something else than what Saves the Day was supposed to be, which is weird because it's them doing it. But then again, I've seen Saves the Day a couple of times. Chris Connolly at the time was unwell.
Okay.
So I'm very happy and hopeful that Chris Connolly is taking care of himself. Is being well. I don't think that he's at his prime on this.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. And you know, there's always a record by a band, and sometimes it happens on their third, sometimes it happens like later on. And Saves the Day was kind of taking off because Through Being Cool was sort of that underground, like really talked about, really like listened to record. Great songs on it. So everybody was like talking about how good Saves the Day was. Then maybe it just led to this moment where it's like, hey, I can't deal with like this attention and all this. I'm going to write a record that's very different from the last one. And it just comes out like this. Sucks to say, but also if it's not good, it's not good, man. Like,
yeah,
I wish it was better. I like how Saves the Day, you know, was there at the beginning. They wrote the scriptures. They were there when the books were written. And
they laid down the stone.
But like, there's a reason that why like Taking Back Sunday took off and Saves the Day did not. Yeah. Saves the Day was not rock stars. Taking Back Sunday was rock stars who wrote better songs for 3 records. Well, those are our thoughts. Those are our opinions on Saves the Day. But we have one more question to answer. Should you see Stay What You Are in full at When We Were Young 2024? It was our video for Spicy Takes with Bo. The question was, what's the worst live band you've ever seen? And it was Saves the Day. I literally have seen Saves the Day a couple of times, and one of the times they played half of their set because Chris Connolly was unwell at the time and was way too drunk and couldn't play the set. Sounded like shit. I'm going to skip it just because of that. I have that anecdotal data of like,
okay,
I have no interest in watching Saves the Day live. They have announced and they are going on a tour with Senses Fail playing Let It Enfold You and Through Being Cool. I am going to go to that tour.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I do want to see that because Let It Enfold You and Through Being Cool are better records than the 2 we reviewed for When We Were Young. There's something going on there. They didn't want to play their better records at this festival. I know it. I see it. I see you. And I want to go and check out that tour. So I'll see them there. I'll see them on a better record. I can skip them at the fest for sure.
I don't feel like I'm going to be seeing this unless for some weird reason. You should see this band if you for some reason miss the starting line set.
Just go see the starting line instead of this.
If you missed the starting line set, you goofed, and then you go to this one, that's your backup.
Could be at a different time too. Just skip this to go see the starting line like an hour later.
What if it's at the same time and it's the battle of the
Battle of the S's, Battle of the S bands?
Oh my god, I have never seen Saves the Day, and I've never really listened to them fully like this. It's fine, but there's a lot of other bands I feel fulfilled that nostalgic need. Perchance also sound better live. Again, this is going off of your data, so.
It's a long time ago, but just go see Through Being Cool. To go listen to Through Being Cool, period. End of story. Like, just go listen to Through Being Cool. Can't say enough nice things about that record because I like it way more. It's so much better. Those are our thoughts. Those are our opinions. What are yours? Tell us. Let us know in the comments down below. We have a playlist of all 57 records that we are reviewing for When We Were Young 2024. You can check them out. You can let us know on all of them. Like it if you like it. If you don't like it twice as hard. We will be finishing our reviews very shortly, so make sure you are subscribed now. Do not miss out. Do not miss a chance to like. When opportunity comes once in a lifetime, you better like it. But until When We Were Young, until Saves the Day, and until Stay What You Are, we will see you there.